Your take on palm oil.
So palm oil is another made into a villain.
1 tablespoon of white sugar is slightly inferior than 1 tablespoon of jaggery because jaggery has micronutrients.
So the micronutrient is very less.
Dates. Is it a replacement for an artificial sweetener?
Definitely no.
Let's say that a person listening to this is going through some infertility issues.
Yeah.
Maybe PCOS or anything.
3 to 4 cycles of IVF, no success. Just they will be on a strict watermelon ice cream.
Ice cream.
Which do you think has more glycemic index?
Ice cream.
No. One person is lean, another person is obese. So when food is not available for 5 days or 7 days, who is gonna survive?
Obese.
The obese.
What is your recommendation? Vegetarian or non-vegetarian source of protein, or doesn't matter?
Only the animal source foods give all these essential amino acids, except maybe for soybean to some extent.
Whenever I talk about nuts, people don't ask how many nuts I should eat. The first question what they ask?
Soaking.
Soaking. Almond milk. What is your take on that?
But basically, a milk should contain lactose. If that doesn't contain that lactose sugar, obviously only the name can be there as a milk.
Before we dive in, can I be honest with you? It blows my mind that 57.9% of you who listen regularly still have not subscribed to our channel. If you enjoy the podcast, the stories, the science, maybe even laugh at our jokes, could you do us a small favor? Hit that subscribe button. It takes only 2 seconds and helps us keep bringing you better guests and episodes every week. I'm truly blessed to have all your support, and I'm sure you will support me in the journey. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Welcome to another episode for Podcast Save with Gut Feeling with Dr. Pat. In this episode, I have my friend Dr. Arun Kumar, who is a practicing pediatrician in Coimbatore. He has lots of followers on YouTube and Instagram as well. He's a big proponent of proper nutrition education. Let's dive deep into this episode to learn a lot about him and also his thoughts on nutrition.
Hi Arun, thank you so much for being in the podcast again. I'm very, very excited because last time you said so many things about diet. And all my audience asked was, why is it very difficult to follow? What do you think?
Following a diet.
Why?
So, evolutionarily, so the human biology is never trained to follow a diet for losing weight or coming out of this. Evolutionarily, the problem has never been a surplus. It has always been a deficit.
Scarcity.
So evolutionary, all our hormones are trained to store fat whenever possible. So everything, the insulin resistance, everything, the genes are helping in our survival mechanism traditionally. So whenever in the prehistoric era or before 10,000 years, the Paleolithic era, food was scarce. So whenever food is available, the hormones have to store the fat whenever possible. So on a survival basis, there are two persons. One person is lean, another person is obese. So when food is not available for 5 days or 7 days, who is going to survive?
Obese.
The obese. So that is why evolutionarily, all the obese people, so probably the thin people, they would have died in the before. So all the obese people nowadays are the successors of the people who had better survival mechanism when food was scarce. So the whatever genes that were supposed to protect us during the 10,000 years back during the starvation, now since we have a food surplus, not a very long period, just for the past 50 years, 60 years,
Correct.
We have a food surplus only for even till 1960s there was famine in Tamil Nadu. So this food surplus only for the past 50 years in India. So now all the genes which were helping our survival, now they are becoming our enemies. So our genes are never trained to lose fat. They are always trained to store fat. So we may voluntarily think, okay, I want to lose fat. But our genes do not allow that. That is why being part of a diet, restricting the calories, it is always a difficult task. Gaining fat is a little bit easier.
Because of the abundance.
Because of the abundance.
And also the cravings also, it makes a big difference, right? So let's say somebody is following a diet. They say that, I just couldn't control the cravings. What do you usually say to your patients?
So the basic things, So basic things, even though we say eat less, work more for weight loss. So if that was so simple, then everyone would have just counted the calories and lost weight. So there will be nothing called obesity in this world, because everyone knows when you eat less, we will be able to lose weight. Everyone knows if you work out more, you will be able to lose. Even if you are not able to work out more, eating less, if it was very easy, then no one on earth will be obese.
That's correct.
Because of the hormonal imbalances that are associated with obesity, whether it is insulin resistance, leptin resistance, whatever the imbalances, and whatever, there are lots of hormones, as you know, this hypothalamus, lots of neuropeptides that are controlling the appetite, all that. Because of that, the craving is inherent to all the obese persons. So we have to suppress those hormones. So to suppress those hormones, so either two things. So either we should increase the volume of the food. So increasing the volume of the food will suppress the ghrelin, which is the gut hormone which controls the appetite. So for increasing the volume, we take more fiber. So in one way, that helps in one way.
So cravings is happening because of hormonal imbalance.
Hormonal imbalance. So in another way, even when you take lots of fiber, say if a person wants to lose weight and say he takes around 300 grams of vegetables in a meal, even if he takes that and he takes a little bit carbs, some rice or roti, after 1 or 2 hours again he will feel hungry and cravings. This is because of the other hormones, the insulin, the neurohormones. The insulin has an effect on the hypothalamus. Like there is insulin resistance in the peripheries. We say muscle insulin resistance, hepatic insulin resistance. There is also central insulin resistance in the hypothalamus.
So for our audience, educate us about insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance?
Yeah. So insulin resistance is simply like the insulin is not functioning properly.
Correct.
So insulin is the hormone which actually allows the whatever energy we are getting from the food to be converted into either energy. So whatever we eat, rice, idli, dosa, chapati, we derive glucose from the food. That glucose has to be converted into energy, and that is taken care of by insulin by allowing the glucose to enter the cells from the bloodstream. Whenever the energy is excess, the same insulin converts the excess glucose into fats and store in the adipose tissue. So that is the basic functionality of insulin. So whenever the insulin resistance means due to obesity or genetic factors, the insulin is not functioning properly. That means the cells are resisting the action of insulin. In obesity, whenever this fats starts accumulating, the cells do not respond to insulin like it was before. So there is resistance to the orders or the commands of insulin. Because of that, even though there is energy, the glucose in the blood, it is not able to enter the cells. So the blood sugar rises. So this is diabetes. So this extra sugar, even though because of insulin resistance, there will be over secretion of insulin by the pancreas to counter this effect. So there will also be high blood sugars. There will also be high insulin also because of this resistance. So whenever this insulin is also extra roaming around, is not able to act anywhere, so it will convert all the excess sugars into fat. So there is hypertriglycerides that gets deposited in the liver, that is fatty liver. That gets deposited in the adipose tissue, that is obesity. So it's a cascade. So there is the problem. So the diabetes, the same hyperinsulinemia, that is excess insulin in blood, affects the ovaries, that is PCOS. So it's a cascade. Because the insulin is not functioning properly, we can get multiple problems in multiple areas. It affects the kidneys and uric acid pathway, the person gets gout. So many areas, many problems.
A normal person, let's say that they are genetically predisposed to insulin resistance, based on what you said. But that person is, in the last 50 years, even though there's availability of food, let's say that they are eating protein, fiber, low calorie, and was able to maintain the weight, then the cell which is working will continue to work despite the genetic resistance on most of the times. Am I right?
So it is always, as we always say in medicine, it is both the agent, the host factor, and the environmental factor. So in any disease, there has to be agent factor, host factor, and the environmental factor. So even though there is a genetic predisposition, if the lifestyle is good enough, if the food is right, the physical activity is right, at least we will be able to avoid or at least postpone. So that is another point I want to stress here. Here, recently we are seeing the preponement of the onset of these diseases. So whenever I see a person aged 40 years or 35 years coming with diabetes, I will ask, family history of diabetes is there. They will say, my father has, but he has developed only recently. He is only 65 years old. And this guy would have developed by around 35 years. So there is advancement of this early onset. And myself being a pediatrician, they show also their kids to me. And when I see, so as we discussed in a previous podcast, the kids would have already got this acanthosis,
Correct.
black patches.
Black patches in the neck.
Then I tell them, okay, so your father is a diabetic, but at 65 years, he developed at 40 years. This kid, 10 years or 12 years, if I check the fasting insulin levels, it will be way high. The HbA1c will be borderline, somewhere in pre-diabetic range. So there is, the alarming thing is, we are getting advancement in the age of onset of the diseases. We are, shockingly, we are getting type 2 diabetes in kids nowadays, lots of. Not type 1. When we were doing pediatrics, whenever a kid is diabetic, we always
Type
used
1.
to say it is type 1. That is, insulin is not secreting at all.
Because of a genetic problem.
Yeah. No, it's more autoimmune problem. So it's a pancreatic failure. So that's a different disease. But nowadays, we are getting lots of type 2 diabetes, like adults. So the whatever diabetes which was supposed to develop at 30 years or 40 years, now they are getting at 15 years, 20 years. So that is the problem. So definitely, from our side, if you are able to control the lifestyle, at least if you are not able to avoid, at least you will be able to postpone. Yeah.
So there is a comical saying where it says that obesity runs in family, but the problem is nobody runs in your family, right? But I am saying the flip side. So let's say there is no family history at all. Okay, this is that lean person that you're talking about. Even in that person, let's say the calorie intake is high and a lot of ultra processed food. When the calorie intake goes up, the extra calories is getting converted into fat.
Yeah.
And this fat is triggering this inflammation.
Yeah.
And all these markers, interleukin 12, TNF, all this will attack on the cell and the cell will become resistant to insulin. That is the trigger point.
So either way.
So
that is why lots of lean people we have seen. So I have few female clients who would say that they were only weighing around 35 to 40 kgs till marriage. So lean. Whatever diet, they were lean. But post-pregnancy, due to the hormonal changes, due to their changes in the lifestyle, now they are 80 kg, 90 kg. And these people get insulin resistant soon. So there is an interesting hypothesis called Barker's hypothesis.
what is Barker's hypothesis?
So it's a very interesting fact. So there are two kids, say so one kid is either born with a normal birth weight or even a little bit higher birth weight. Another kid born with a low birth weight. So the normal birth weight, they will develop into a normal frame adult, say 70-80 kg. They are less prone to develop the lifestyle diseases. But the lean kid, as traditionally our mothers and the grandmothers, they want to push the kids to eat more and they want to make the kids fatter or plump.
Bigger.
Yeah, bigger. These kids, whenever if they are pushed more to gain weight, these kids develop more obesity, diabetes, hypertension, all this metabolic syndrome. This has been proved. Even a study conducted in CMC Vellore. So it's the entire cohort they have checked from 1970s. So whenever the normal weight kid, they did not develop into diabetes much. The underweight kid, when pushed further, they develop diabetes because their body mechanisms are not able to tolerate the excess fat. So whenever a lean person becomes obese at some point of time, they will definitely develop diabetes because of this inflammation. So this is called Barker's hypothesis. So whenever a lean child comes to my OPD, the mother asks, give some prescription to make the child little bit bigger, chubbier. I will say, do you want your child to develop diabetes? Are you asking prescription for diabetes for future? I would not recommend that.
So they shouldn't worry about the weight as long as they fall in the percentage.
At least some micronutrients is fine. The child is not anemic. The child is relatively healthy. Definitely the child should not be pushed further. It is better to keep the child lean. So that is always better. So this is the problem. So that is why traditionally in India, previously the birth weight was on the lower side. So we used to drink lots of energy drinks. In our childhood, it was always like, give some this energy drink, this energy drink, you will grow taller, stronger and all that. And all these people have become diabetic. So that is why in Western population, their built is default, it is higher. Their incidence of diabetes is little bit lesser than India. So that is the problem.
You know, we did some research in California on low birth weight babies. So there is something called thin fat Indian baby hypothesis. So what that means is that, let's say you take two kids, one is an American kid, another one is an Indian kid, same birth weight. But the adipose tissue level is higher in the Indian
babies.
Same birth weight. And the adipose tissue is mainly around the belly. So that is what the central adiposity is a risk factor.
So that is what contributing to all these metabolic syndrome.
The metabolic syndrome. So we were talking about cravings and then we talked about insulin resistance. So cells is not responding to the insulin. So insulin resistance is there. So that is why you are craving as well because you are predisposed to it. And you said either you increase the volume of the food by increasing the fiber content.
To suppress those hormones. So just the volume, increasing the volume will not be sufficient. So then comes the effect of the food composition. So more proteins and more healthy fats, when they replace these carbohydrates, it will suppress all these hormones. So all this insulin and everything. Because of that, there will be more satiety. The the circulating insulin levels will come down. I said something about central insulin resistance. That's why we deviated. So we were talking about the peripheral cells, that is the muscle cells and liver cells not responding to insulin.
Correct.
In the same way, there is a part in our brain that is hypothalamus. There is an area where there are lots of hormones controlling the appetite. There are few hormones which increase the appetite. There are few hormones which decrease our hunger.
A person listening to this, they always think that, insulin resistance, increased insulin levels. Why do low carb diet work?
So there is two things. So for any diet to work, say from a weight loss perspective, so a calorie deficit is needed.
Yes.
So calorie deficit, if it was that simple, say instead of 4 chapati, let him eat 2 chapatis. Instead of 300 gram rice, let him eat 100 grams of rice. So if that was so simple, we could have just reduced the quantity and eat less and we should be able to lose weight. But whenever we try to eat less, all these hormones kicking, they will make our body to eat more. Because the hormones do not want to lose fat. We want to lose fat, but our hormones are not trained to do that. From an evolutionary perspective, say from an evolutionary perspective, if there is no food, and if we don't develop that craving, 10,000 years back, will the man would have gone for hunting? Say, suppose there is no food, and the hormones are happily, they are satisfied in getting energy from all the stored fat. So the man will sit happily for 2 days and he will die by 3rd day, 4th day. But whenever, even if there is some fat, the hormones will not allow to take energy from that fat. It will make you crave for food. Because of that, he would have, a man by nature developed tools to hunt larger animals. Because of this craving. Because of this, all these hormones. These craving hormones were giving a survival advantage. If that was not there, man would have never hunted. He would have sat happily and would have died off by 3rd day, 4th day when food was not there. This craving was making us hunt. This craving was making us gather around and search for food. So to resist this is a difficult task. So that is the problem. So in low carb, what happens? So as I said, we are reducing the carbs, increasing the proteins, healthy fats and fiber.
Correct.
So because of this, apart from the calorie restriction, so that is always there. Apart from the calorie restriction, this balance, we are reducing carbs, the primary mode of energy will be beta oxidation of fat and ketosis in a low carb diet. This ketones itself will suppress the hormones.
So they'll use fat to provide energy.
Yeah, fats and to some extent proteins. The ratio changes. So these themselves will suppress the appetite.
So ketones are the end product of the fatty acid metabolism.
Fatty acid metabolism in one pathway. In one pathway. So in all other diets, we have to suppress the appetite by mental control. Okay, mindful eating, everything. But in a low carb diet, even if we eat little bit more, we will not be able to eat beyond a certain limit. The food itself will control the appetite. So that is the advantage. So a person need not have that extra mental control. The low carb diet, they will be able to eat only a certain extent. The food itself will give a satiety feeling.
Wow.
That is one thing. And then is another interesting fact. There is something called TEF. That is the thermic effect of food. So if you eat some carbohydrates, if some food has some 100 calories. So when we eat the carbohydrates, all the 100 calories or at least 90 to 95% of the calories will get converted into energy. So if we eat fat, if we eat 100 calories, everything will get converted into energy. But when we eat proteins, if we eat 100 calories, only 60 to 70 calories we will be able to derive from the proteins. We may count 100 calories from the calculators, but 30 to 40% is lost because 30 to 40% calories are wasted in digesting the protein itself, metabolizing the protein. So if a person takes a 2000, even a person takes a little bit higher calories, 1500, 1600, even 1800 calorie diet on a high protein diet, actually he will be receiving only some 1300, 1400. So more satiety because of protein, and actually is getting less calories. That is why the weight loss effect is augmented. So because of these multiple effects, the controlling the appetite, this protein, the thermic effect of food, all these contribute to better weight loss in a low carb approach. Not just weight loss, there are other mechanisms. Apart from weight loss, even a lean diabetic, if a person is having not just obese diabetic, a normal weight plus diabetes, because of less carbohydrates and less insulin requirement, he will be able to control the blood sugars excellently. A PCOS, even a lean PCOS will be able to control the PCOS. So all other dietary methods, they reduce the problems only via weight loss. Low carb diet has an independent mechanism irrespective of weight loss. Even in normal weight people, we can reverse PCOS, control the diabetes, make diabetes into remission, and reverse the PCOS with a low carb diet, which is not possible in other diets. That is the difference.
Wow. That's a wealth of information. I'm just summarizing what you said. Okay, so basically for low carb, what should happen? You should increase the protein or you should increase the healthy fats.
Yeah.
So protein has a thermic energy.
Yeah, it's both. You are increasing both.
So protein has thermic energy. So even though you eat a little bit more, 30% is lost in digesting the protein because it's very difficult to digest protein. Second, you said that because we're increasing the healthy fats, the byproduct is ketones, and ketones will make the leptin work.
In some way. Yeah.
Ketone
will suppress the appetite.
Which means the leptin resistance, the leptin hormone is slightly increased, which will getting the function back. So you will decrease the hunger. You will promote the satiety. In turn, you will lose weight. Very nice. Anybody who listening to this, revise this again.
It's a difficult chapter.
Please don't skip it. The exam question will definitely come. So which means that's why keto is working.
Yeah.
Keto means less than 20 grams of carbs. But studies are saying that long-term keto, like more than 10 years or 12 years, have some deleterious effects on the body. Is that true?
No, the problem is that we should, first of all, we should decide what is needed, how long it is needed. So we must define the objectives first. So if the objective is to lose weight, even if the person is say around 100 or 150 kg, the person has to be on a diet only for 1 to 2 years. That is one thing. So if the person is a diabetic, so if he is on a keto, like not everyone has to be on a keto. There can be in any range of, so the actual scientific term nowadays which is used is TCR, that is therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. So it need not be always 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams. So whatever carbohydrate we are restricting for a improvement in all these parameters, metabolic parameters, that is called therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. In any range it will work. It need not be always like strict keto. So that is not a problem. So after we achieve the target, whatever, then the person can go on a little bit moderate diet, can include carbs in little bit. So that is one thing. Second thing, whatever the studies which are quoted, more than 10 years, deleterious effects, I would say these studies are bogus, humbug, because it is very difficult to follow a person who is on a long-term diet for 10 years. It is very difficult. So what is the inherent defect in the studies is that the study designs, even top journals, what they do, they ask, say, one time of the year, say in 2010, once they will take a survey, what diet you are eating, keto, whatever. Then after 2020, did you develop diabetes, did you have heart attack? We don't know what that person was eating for all the 10 years. So they just classify based on a single day profile. We don't know whether the person was on keto, whether the person was on strict keto, whether the person was eating normally, or whether the person has alcohol, smoking, he was just yo-yo dieting here and there. We really don't know. So there is not even a single study which follows a person diligently for, say, not 10 years, at least for 1 year, daily monitoring what he is eating. There is not even a single study. Wow. All these studies, whichever occasionally pops up in all these newspapers, intermittent fasting, patient diet,
heart attack.
more heart attack, keto, patient diet, so paleo, patient diet. So there is no study on whether idli, dosa, chapati kills a patient. So all these are just bogus. So the research methodology is flawed.
So in my patient population, what we usually do is the TCR, therapeutic carbohydrate restriction. Usually, we should go by some kind of terms, right? So what they usually, at least what I know is that around 150 grams of carbs is considered as a relatively normal intake.
Okay.
If you follow our South Indian or even Indian lifestyle, the average intake of carbs is around 200, even more than that.
No, it is definitely, it will be around 300 to 400.
300 to 400. So maybe a person listening to this podcast, if he wants to make some changes, maybe they can start there.
Yeah.
And then say that, you don't have to go all the way from 400 to 50.
Yeah.
Maybe 200,
Yeah.
250, something like that. Even that change will
Definitely do wonders.
do wonders.
Yeah, do wonders.
You've seen that in your practice.
Yeah, we have seen. So because there are lots of people who are not able to follow a very strict diet. So even some people, we say, just cut down your carbs by 50%. Just replace. If they are eating 4 dosas, let them eat 2 dosa with 2 eggs. If they are eating 300 grams of rice, let them eat 150 grams of rice plus 150 grams of chicken. Just replace. Even a 50% reduction will do lots of wonders. Even initially we were thinking only a strict keto or strict low carb will help. But even any reduction, it helps.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. And consistency is the...
Depending on the severity of the problem. Say for a diabetic, HbA1c is 10, 12. This moderate carb may not help much. So he has to be on a strict diet.
So we talked about this in the previous podcast as well, and I'm a big proponent of as well. Let's say that a person listening to this is going through some infertility issues, maybe PCOS or anything. In that patient population, I think the intensity should be higher. So we should really go down as low as possible. Because that is where the fast results may happen. It may not be sustainable on a long-term basis, but your goal is different.
So because they will be suffering from infertility for 8 to 10 years, they would have tried, I have seen patients who are done 20 to 30 cycles of IUI, 3 to 4 cycles of IVF, no success. Just they will be on a strict low carb, 5 to 6 months, they get conceived. They won't even believe the results. So lots of this, I keep on getting these messages. So whenever every month, once in 2 to 3 days, some person sends, "Sir, thank you, got pregnant." So that is the problem. Correct. So for this PCOS related issue, which is really increasing nowadays, lots of infertility due to this, lots of IVF happening due to this rising PCOS. Actually, the diet restriction is the key.
It's the key.
We are actually approaching the wrong way. We are trying to modify the hormones, giving hormonal injections to make the women ovulate and all that. But the anovulation due to PCOS is primarily due to the insulin resistance.
Hormone imbalance.
So that's what I always say to my patients. PCOS is not an ovarian disease at all. It is a ovarian manifestation of a systemic disease, large disease called insulin resistance.
Correct.
It doesn't start from ovaries. It starts from somewhere else and it affects the ovaries.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let me just summarize this as well and tell me whether I'm wrong, okay? So PCOS, ovary is not secreting the ovum. That is the problem.
Yeah.
And this is happening because of insulin resistance.
Yeah.
As we talked about, cells are not resistant to insulin. And why is that happening? Because of increased intake of calories on ultra-processed food. And because ovary is not secreting the ovum, the hormones are not stimulating the ovaries.
Yeah.
So in IVF treatments, what they are doing is they are giving hormones to stimulate the ovary, to produce ovum.
Produce ovum.
Instead of external approach, if we can decrease the internal approach, then insulin resistance will get better, CNS will act properly, then it will come to ovaries and then ovum, then all the IVF centers will be closed. In my Numi weight loss program that we are having, what we do is we have tried low carb on IVF patients. Many IVF centers have collaborated with the some kind of dietitian services to make the outcome better.
Yeah.
We have very successful outcomes only when the carbohydrate level go down.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like many IVF centers are doing this, but if an IVF treatment is starting without a diet program, then that may be the issue.
Yeah. So if the primary problem is PCOS related, definitely diet has to come first. Definitely a trial of diet. If that fails, still then diet has to be combined with the other treatment. So that should be the order.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that should be the order for any medical problem.
Yeah.
Even
definitely.
for diabetes, hypertension.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything. Diet plus medication. Super. So now we have delved deep into the pathophysiology. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go into some common questions.
Okay.
The first question is dates. Is it a replacement for an artificial sweetener?
Definitely no. So basically, man has an inherent sweet tooth. It's a craving for sweets. So the dates, any sugars, so there is always a saying, this sugar, that sugar. So the white sugar, Jaggery, palm sugar. Even there was a recent, this palm sugar and all this discussion was happening. The body,
I don't know, people challenging me.
No, I am coming out to the video regarding
to
that.
Challenge?
Yeah. No, just to explain.
Yeah.
So, beyond the gut, the body will not be able to recognize where is the sugar molecule is coming from. Whether it is coming from white sugar, palm sugar, Jaggery, or dates, or apple, the body will not be able to recognize at all. All that matters is the carbohydrate load. Or the sugar load. There is an interesting study which has compared the refined white sugar, honey, and the so-called high fructose corn syrup. So which is always thought to be very bad.
Very bad.
But they have given equal quantities of all these. And they have seen how is the insulin resistance, triglyceride, metabolic syndrome markers. All have fared equally bad. It is not, we are actually glorifying one sugar, honey, and we will be making white sugar and high fructose corn syrup as villains. But when the sugar load is same, they have calculated and administered in such an extent. In the same extent, it has caused insulin resistance in the population.
Even with the same sugar load?
Yeah, same sugar load. So it is not just high fructose corn syrup is some villain and another sugar is bad. So it all depends on the sugar load that we eat. So whatever be the sugar, whether it comes from dates or something else, it should be taken in moderation. That's all. The answer is very simple. Very simple. Regarding sweeteners, even though sweeteners, they don't
You're
provide...
talking about artificial sweeteners.
Artificial sweeteners. So artificial sweeteners like stevia or this monk sweetener and aspartame, sucralose, even though they don't provide calories, they cause insulin resistance by secreting and stimulating the insulin release from the body. Because of the sweet taste, some acts on some pathways. So they may not be as good as people believe. Even though it provides less calories, it may not be as good. So it is always better to reduce that sweet craving.
So we did a research on this. So we gave aspartame and we gave sucralose. and the blood sugar level did not increase.
Yeah.
But the insulin level increased.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. So that is the problem.
In these patients, the insulin levels are increased already.
Ah.
So when there is more increase, so what happens is when they are trying to change their diet and everything, those extra calories are getting converted into fat because of this increase in
Yes.
insulin levels.
That is why any sweet, whether it contains calories, whether it comes from dates, palm, doesn't matter.
So what do you tell patients when they say, 1 tablespoon of white sugar is slightly inferior than 1 tablespoon of jaggery? Because jaggery has micronutrients.
So the micronutrient is very less. So the percentage of sucrose in refined sugar is 100% because it's a refined form.
Correct.
So palm sugar or jaggery, the percentage of sucrose is around 80 to 85 or 88% because there are impurities. It is an unrefined form. So a little bit less sucrose. That is one thing. But apart from this 10 to 15% difference, there is no significant difference in between these two. So it is the same. And because there will be little bit lesser calorie density also. The density of these sugars will be little bit less. But for the same level of sweetness, to achieve that level of sweetness, one has to put more jaggery.
Correct.
So by nature, he will put little bit more to achieve that level of sweetness.
Correct.
So if the weight is the same, not much difference in the effect.
Maybe a little bit, but that is not significant.
That is due to the impurities.
Impurities.
This is refined, that is unrefined. Some 10-15%.
I see. So you are a believer of the load.
Load, definitely.
See, the amount of carbohydrates.
Amount.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah.
Nothing will trump the amount.
Yeah.
No matter how good
Whatever
this-
be it. Yeah.
Correct. So can we just talk about the glycemic index a little bit?
Yeah.
What is glycemic index?
So glycemic index, we just measure how a food increases the sugar levels in the body. So what is the speed? Say we can just assume. And we always classify foods as high glycemic index, moderate glycemic index, low glycemic index, and we always think that the low glycemic index are better foods.
Because
Better
it is decreasing the spike of the glucose
decreasing
level.
the spike of the glucose levels inside the body.
Correct.
But the problem in glycemic index is that, I will say for an example, I will tell two things. Watermelon, ice cream.
Ice cream.
Which do you think has more glycemic index?
Ice cream.
No. Watermelon has a glycemic index way higher than ice cream. Ice cream has a glycemic index of only around 40 to 45. Watermelon has a glycemic index of more than 80. But because the ice cream, the glycemic index is determined by the amount of glucose. Very important. Glucose, not fructose. See, even rice, we eat rice. Rice has a glycemic index of around 70 to 80 based on the type of rice, refined, unrefined. Even wheat has the same, ragi has the same. Wheat in raw form, little bit less, around 60. But when it is taken as a flour, wheat flour, it is little bit more. Actually, the refined white sugar has less glycemic index than all these idli, dosa, chapati. The refined white sugar has a glycemic index of only around 55 to 60. Because refined white sugar is sucrose, which is half glucose and half fructose. The fructose will not spike the sugar levels that much. But it will be silently increasing the insulin resistance inside the body.
Mainly in the liver.
Yeah, mainly the liver. So, even though it doesn't rise the sugar levels, it creates problems silently. The ice cream, why it has low glycemic index? Because ice cream is half milk fat. So, fat doesn't raise the sugar levels. Then again, I am coming to the next point. So, one who is listening, one might think, okay, watermelon has high glycemic index. But comes the next question. So, it all depends on how much carbohydrate load in that. That is what determined by a factor called glycemic load. So, that is the, say, if you take 100 grams of one substance. So, the glycemic index multiplied by the carbohydrate content, that is called glycemic load. That actually determines the increased blood sugar levels. So, the watermelon is still healthy because even though it has a very high glycemic index, because of the higher glucose content, the sugar content is pretty low. So, only 8 grams of carbohydrates in 100 grams of watermelon. So the glycemic load will be pretty low in watermelon. So even though glycemic index is small, the glycemic load will be pretty low. But at the same time, say if the person is having some millet with a glycemic index of 55 or 60, one will say, okay, it's a moderate glycemic index, low glycemic index. But if the person takes around 200 or 250 grams of boiled weight of that rice, it will have more glucose spike than this watermelon or this thing. So that is why I will say a simple example usually. I will ask a question usually. So which will burn very fast, petrol or wood? Petrol. So again I'm asking second question. Which will burn more? One drop of petrol or one truckload of wood?
Truckload of wood.
Now why the answer has changed?
Because of volume.
Because of the volume. So the how fast the fuel burns, it is the glycemic index. But the actual thing what that matters is what is the load. So even though petrol may burn faster, the quantity of the fuel matters here. That is why the glycemic load matters. Glycemic index matters, but only to some extent. The glycemic load matters more. So whatever millets you are taking, whatever carbs, is the load that matters. So that is why replacing the carbohydrates with fats or proteins is different. So we all say about this glycemic index 50, 60. We never speak about glycemic index of these proteins and carbs. The glycemic index of egg is 0. Glycemic index of these nuts are just 5 to 10. It is nowhere near that 50, 60. We always debate between white rice or brown rice. Millets or ragi. But these are way lower in glycemic index. They do not rise the sugar levels at all. For a diabetic person, the pre-meal sugars is say 150. After eating 4 eggs, the post-meal sugar will also be 150. There will be 0 rise in blood sugar levels. So the glycemic index is 0 actually.
Wow.
So that is why lowering carbohydrates helps in a lot of things.
So that's why they say, just replacing your dosa with ragi dosa. But if you keep eating 2 or 3 dosa.
Yeah, that is a problem.
For that, you could eat your regular dosa with just 1 or 2 and replace that with something else.
Some proteins, egg or some veg proteins or whatever.
When I say that, the main problem that my patient is telling me is that, see, I have already cholesterol. And when I have a lot of cholesterol, you're asking me to eat fat. Isn't it contradictory? What is your take on that?
So that we should start from the cardiologists. So our society from say the 1970s, 80s, we have always feared cholesterol. And but the problem is, so in cholesterol lipid profile, we know there is total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, HDL and triglycerides. So total cholesterol everyone knows. Some cholesterol high, they get panicked. But many don't know about these components. Some know about this HDL. They think it is good cholesterol, HDL. They know this. But not many people know about this triglycerides and LDL. So in Indian population, the main dyslipidemia, that is altered lipid profile, is mainly high triglycerides. It is not high LDL. High LDL is there only in a very small subset of population actually. So many of these people are diabetic metabolic syndrome and they have high triglycerides. And that can be reversed only by eating healthy fats and reducing the carbohydrates. Even many doctors don't understand this. We talk in CMEs, conferences. We write the metabolism, we display and we talk. So the triglycerides is never due to eating fat. And you cannot reduce by reducing fat. Triglycerides, even we have seen triglycerides of 800,000. They are on phenofibrates. Many drugs not able to reduce. Put them on a low carb, it will come down to 200 in 3 months. So the main problem is triglycerides actually. LDL is a subset. LDL cholesterol does not respond well to diet at all. Many people should understand. LDL cholesterol, some maybe little bit reducing saturated fats, little bit it might help. But many people with high LDL around 180 or 200 mg, they do not respond to diet. It's an inherent genetic problem. They have to be put on drugs if it is very high, or if it is borderline high, we can just leave it as it is.
Low carb will also help LDL?
Low carb will help reducing triglycerides, but not LDL. Yeah. So the main cholesterol problem in most of this population is high triglycerides, and actually low carb will help. LDL problem anyway, diet will help in subset of population up to only a certain limit. So by 20 to 30 points, the diet can reduce, but not significantly. So if it is warranted, they have to be on medicines. But triglycerides, even in the range of thousands, can be reduced with diet, not even by medication.
Because the excess carb is getting converted into
triglycerides.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we talked about glycemic index. You talked about cooling rice.
Yeah.
Is there a technique to decrease the sugar load?
So our people, they whatever we say, reduce rice, they want some alternative method to eat rice. It is inherent part
we
of
have an
our culture.
inclination.
Inclination. So this is one study done in Sri Lanka. They have told that whenever the rice is cooked and kept in refrigerator for around 12 years, so 12
hours.
Yeah, 12 hours. Yeah. 12 years it will become some wine or whiskey. 12 hours. So what happens is that most of the digestible starch, so around some 40 to 50% gets converted into indigestible starch, which is called resistant starch. So even though the carbohydrate content remains the same, that may not get digested inside our gut, and it may not increase the sugar load. That's what claimed in one study. But other studies have tried replicating that and found that the 50% is a little bit exaggerated number. They found it may be around 10 to 15%. But it may vary on the type of rice and other things. Definitely more studies are supposed to come. Maybe some person who is on diabetic can apply a CGM and whether they can see whether 200 grams of regular rice versus 200 grams of this resistant starch rice, whether it really differs. We have to check out and see.
What is your take on the CGM? Okay, so let me tell you my take and then I would love to get your input. What I feel is that CGM is a wonderful tool for diabetic patients because the hormonal imbalance is there, so they need to monitor. And there are many Instagram influencers, they're just putting CGM and then say that, look at this, what I'm eating. They may be normal. The normal in glucose spikes is something physiologically it should happen is my thought process. What is your take on that?
So CGM, apart from diabetics, there is no logic in applying CGM for a normal person. For a normal person, already even the person eats half a kg of Jaggery, the body will be able to metabolize it. The body will not make the sugar levels go beyond 140, even if he eats truckload of carbohydrates in a perfectly insulin sensitive individual. So applying a CGM in a normal fit person or athlete or even a little bit normal person, non-diabetic, it is not going to show any values. So it is mainly for diabetics, it is a boon, as you said. So for diabetics, they can see their glycemic response. So they can see like live, they can see whatever I was telling. Correct. So eat eggs, it will not rise. They can see live. Just placing it and they can say, okay, some 2 idlis, how much sugar spike? 2 dosa, how much sugar spike? 2 eggs, how much sugar spike? They can just compare and they can realize that, okay, these food items are causing more sugar spikes. These food items are causing less sugar spikes, so they can tune their diet to that extent.
And that is also very specific, right? Individual based. Correct?
Individual based. So it varies from person to person. If the CGM is not affordable, even a simple glucometer, just pre and post glucometer should be fine.
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
The same bread which is refrigerated, there's also a concept of refrigerated bread. Refrigerated bread can decrease like 10% in some patients, but it may give the normal spike for the other patients. So it is very individualized.
Yeah, individualized.
So while bringing healthy fats, the most common ingredient that an Indian household is having is oil. Your take on palm oil?
So palm oil is another made into a villain. So palm oil just a source of decent mix of saturated and monounsaturated fatty acid. So we all say olive oil is good because it is more of MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acid.
Correct.
The monounsaturated MUFA content in olive oil is around 70 to 80%. Palm oil is different. Palm oil is around 50% saturated fat and 40% are just monounsaturated fatty acid. Whatever we are using here is palm olein. It is a fractionated form of palm oil where they separate the saturated fat, make it lesser. So this palm olein is actually 55% of MUFA. So almost just only some 15% less than the so-called heart healthy olive oil. and around some 30-35% of saturated fat. So it's okay, decent mix. It is nothing to be like a villainized form. No, definitely.
Okay.
So all the groundnuts oils, sesame oil, mustard oil, all these traditional oils have MUFA content of around 40-45%. So the palm olein is the same. But only thing is, in other oils, the rest of the content will be polyunsaturated fatty acids. Here, the rest of the content will be saturated fats. But because of this equal content of MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acids, studies have found that it doesn't raise LDL that much. Many people fear about this rise in LDL. Actually, palm olein doesn't raise LDL that much because of this equal MUFA. So still it is not a problem. There is coconut oil,
Correct.
which is 92% saturated fat. Even though it increases LDL, but it decreases triglycerides, increases HDL. So even though there is a slight increase in LDL with coconut oil, which is 92% saturated fat, staggering number, even more than butter and ghee. But still the net effect on heart is nil. Meta-analysis studies, reviews have proven that even though there is slight variation in this lipid profile, because of this HDL increasing, triglyceride lowering effect, the end parameters, outcomes regarding cardiovascular health, MI,
Heart attack.
they have found that there is a Cochrane review. So the viewers should know that any study, they will be knowing like Cochrane review is the highest form of evidence as we know.
There are multiple research studies, and Cochrane review meta-analysis is the highest form of evidence.
There is a Cochrane review on intake of saturated fats and the heart outcomes. The Cochrane review says that there is no evidence that more saturated fat intake worsens heart outcomes. There is even data that more saturated fat actually decreases the stroke incidence. This is a Cochrane review published in some 2020 or 21, but still our doctor community is not able to come out of that fat phobia.
Because 15 years ago, it was exactly the opposite.
Yeah. So definitely things are changing, evidence is changing, we must also change.
Change it too.
Otherwise people will change the doctors.
Correct. So, again, you talked about glycemic load.
Yeah.
Even with fats, load matters?
Depends on fats. We always say we should use fats as a sliding scale. That means we have to decide what is the objective. Say if a person is on low carb diet and if he wants is a diabetic and wants to maintain the weight, they have to take adequate fat to maintain the weight for the calories. If a person wants to lose weight, he can't take indefinite amount of fat. He has to calculate. So fat has to be used on a sliding scale.
Sliding scale. And it is 1 gram of fat is 9 calories.
9 calories.
So richest form of calories.
Yeah.
So that is why they say whatever oil that you use, you need to be in moderation.
Moderation. So the fats, whatever, even the direct fats, we take nuts and everything, all those fats only. So we have to take in appropriate with what is our goal. Lose weight or maintain weight, depending
or
on
even gain weight.
Yeah, gain weight.
Gain weight.
So for gaining weight, we give a diet which is high in fat.
Fats.
So why we give we give traditional mix to kids, sattu maavu. What does it contain? More of nuts. Ground nuts. So healthy fats to increase the calories. We give more ghee. Why? To increase the calories.
But that sattu maavu with ghee is not for the adult with diabetes. Right?
Exactly.
What is your go-to oil or recommended oil to your patients?
So any oil in moderation is fine. But my recommendation would be to go for less of this PUFA-rich oils. That is the vegetable-rich oils. That is the sunflower oil, all these rice bran oil. All these are PUFA-rich. Even though these PUFA-rich oils, they actually reduce cholesterol. That is proven. But later studies have found that even though they reduce cholesterol levels in blood, it doesn't affect the cardiovascular morbidity. Even some studies have proven that it actually increases the cardiovascular morbidity. So that is operation success, but patient died like that. So even though it reduces cholesterol, it may not be that much healthy because these are the PUFA oils are omega-6 actually. These are little bit pro-inflammatory. So our traditional oils are fine. This coconut, groundnut, sesame,
mustard.
North Indian mustard, this is fine. Maybe like abroad patients, some olive oil is MUFA rich. Thing is fine. Even the saturated oils, coconut, Even the palmoline is fine actually.
Avocado.
Avocado, those are fine. Yeah, in moderation.
In moderation. Super. So, I think the common denominator, whatever you were saying, looks like it is the load.
Loud.
Okay. So, we are talking about the how do we decrease the carb, increase the protein, increase the fats. In fact, oil was one of the things that we discussed. How about nuts? And whenever I talk about nuts, people don't ask how many nuts I should eat. The first question what they ask?
Soaking.
Soak it. Soak it.
How to eat?
How to eat. Soaking the nuts. I think I'm going to make use of you as an expert to explain to the audience that more than soaking, the amount is very important. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Huh?
So, soaking, it is, people think that nuts has lot of toxins and soaking will remove the toxins. And there is also some bit of pseudoscience.
Ah.
So nuts has some phytic acid. This phytic acid will inhibit absorption of certain other nutrients. So people believe that soaking nuts will eliminate this phytic acid or reduce the phytic acid significantly from the nuts. This is the general belief. But studies have found that they have done studies where they have taken raw nuts, soaked nuts, sliced and soaked nuts. So they have done all this. And they found that the soaking, irrespective of the duration, 12 hours, 24 hours, did not reduce the phytic acid even a little bit.
Not even that 5-10%.
Not even 5-10%, not even a single percent.
So soaking is not helpful.
Soaking will not remove the phytic acid from the nuts. It's a basic physiology. It is a phytic acid is not just like some dirt on the floor where we use water and the dirt goes away. It is imbibed inside with some bonds inside the whatever the content, the nuts. It cannot just by soaking, it will not go away. So that is what studies have found. It's actually useless. Whatever form they can take.
Water form.
Yeah.
So if that is not true, then the water, discarding the water after soaking, that is also not true.
That is also not true. Anyway, the water is not, maybe except some dirt on the nuts.
Okay, so in your practice, you don't recommend soaking nuts.
Yeah, nothing.
It's not going to add anything more.
Add anything
more. How about the moderation? What will you say? Is there any number that you say?
No, depends on what is the purpose of taking nuts. So many people, everyone knows that nuts are healthy. So many people think that if they take say 2 almonds, 2 pista, 2 walnut, and some 2 to 3 some seeds, so and so sunflower something, they will get lots of benefits. But it doesn't work like that. It all depends on what we are replacing. So many people follow this PCOS, some seed cycling,
Correct.
all these terminologies. They think that just taking them in just 2 or 3 numbers will do some wonders. It is not going to change anything. It depends on the load. Say in a low carb diet, if a person, we advise in a low carb diet, we advise them to take nuts as a meal per se. 50, 60 grams, 70 grams. So they will be replacing a carbohydrate meal with a nut based meal. They will be taking half shell of coconut. They will be taking 60, 70 grams of almonds, something like that. So they will be replacing. In this way, they are able to reduce the carbohydrate load significantly and replacing it with healthy fats. This will cause effects. But just taking some 2 or 3 nuts per day, it is not going to have a significant impact on the profile. Maybe it might be a decent alternative to some other snacks. So if in the evening one person is going to take some cookies and some coffee with sugar, if he replaces that, he or she replaces that with some nuts, it is a decent alternate.
The other idea that I usually say is that is a replacement of the carbohydrate angle. So, for example, let's say you 10 to 15 nuts. That itself will give you like 100, 150 calories easily. And that will replace 1 dosa. Right? 1 dosa is around 150. So, replacing that is how I usually use it. But the problem is they take 15 of each nuts.
But in such case, they have to stop dosa for a meal.
Correct.
If they want to take 50, 60 grams, it's fine. But they should not take 3 dosa with 50 grams of nuts.
Correct.
So, almonds is good, but badam halwa is not good.
Correct.
If almonds were so healthy, then badam halwa, badam milk, everything should be so-called very healthy. But it doesn't work like that.
Just because we are on this topic, almond milk, what is your take on that?
So almond milk, it is just an alternative source for vegans. So vegans don't want to take the regular milk, not on a nutritional or biological basis, just for the
Ethical considerations.
So they explore other forms of milk, soy milk, almond milk. That is fine. From a nutritional perspective, it is not something superior or anything. It is just an alternative source for the vegans. We can just respect their decisions. That's all.
But how I use that is, 1 cup of almond milk is only 30-40 calories.
Yeah.
So the load can come down
Yeah.
if you replace, but the problem is people are not very happy with the taste.
Yeah.
Right? Based on your look itself, I can
Obviously, milk is the lactose. If that lactose is not there, will not be there. We can extract anything from everything and we can term it as a milk. But basically, a milk should contain lactose. If that doesn't contain that lactose sugar, obviously, only the name can be there as a milk.
The taste will not be there.
Yeah.
Coming in the same context in terms of, like more protein, more fat, egg comes in that, right?
Yeah.
Egg is a wonderful source of protein and egg yolk will be a good source of fat. How will you include that in the diet?
So egg can be included in any form. It is a wonderful food, as you said. Include in any form. That is, sometimes in low carb diet, we advise it as a separate meal altogether. Just instead of replace one complete carbohydrate based meal with just 3 eggs, 3 omelets, something like that. It will do wonders. Or just for reducing the load. Say, as I said before, instead of 4 dosa, 2 dosa with 2 eggs. With some coconut chutney or groundnut chutney. Excellent.
And I'm finding it difficult to answer this question, like how many eggs per day?
Yeah.
Usually what I tell my patient is that, it differs based on your individual outcome, what do you want. But in general, a meta-analysis said that, 1 egg per day, in majority of the conditions, it should be okay.
Yeah.
What will you say?
So, in most of the population, 1 to 2 eggs is perfectly fine. If the person doesn't have any high LDL, that is a familial dyslipidemia, even 3 to 4 eggs or 5 eggs will not cause anything. All these meta-analyses are a generalized notion. So there will be a subset of populations who have dyslipidemia problem genetically, and there will be another subset who can tolerate more eggs. That is different. So we have to individualize. So 1 to 2 eggs per day is no issue at all. More than that, if we can just monitor his cholesterol levels, if that shoots way high, say after taking eggs, if it goes to around 180 or 190, that probably that person might be having a little bit hyperlipidemia. Only those subset, but that subset is very less actually. Out of 100 people, only some 5% will be in that subset. So most of the people will be able to tolerate more eggs actually. So in low carb diet, generally our people eat 3 to 4 eggs comfortably without causing much rise in LDL. At least 90% of the people.
So while we're in the fat context, the discussion about omega-3 versus omega-6. The seed oil problem, people in the West are like just obsessed about the seed oil, that it is increasing the omega-6. How do you look at these two assets?
So definitely it is a problem. But the natural sources of omega-3 are actually very less. Only some flax seeds, some fish oils, some fish, some nuts, and some even our items like fenugreek. They can have omega-3 but not direct omega-3. That will be ALA will be there. It has to only some 5% will get converted into EPA and DHA, which is usable omega-3 inside the body. So we need, anyway, as we said, we were discussing before, it is all about, we are going to use only some 3 to 4 teaspoons of oil and all that. Anyway, it doesn't matter this ratio. Anyway, we will not keep the omega-6, the seed content high. That is what. But to
what are the examples of seed oils?
All the sunflower seed.
You said already that, because of the, it is not as bad as people are portraying, because of the equal distribution of 55% MUFA with saturated fat, correct?
No. Sunflower oils are more PUFA. I was telling about the palm oil. Palmoline. So sunflower oils are more PUFA. So the reduces cholesterol, but the cardiovascular outcome is not that good. So that is why the traditional oils are a little bit preferred over these seed oils, technically.
And do you recommend that omega-3 supplement?
Generally, we don't. Just we give it as optional. So because there is no like proven benefits like omega-3 does this, does that. But generally, there is no harm in taking omega-3. It will definitely help in a few subset. The result may not be quantifiable, but optionally we suggest maybe you can take if you want.
So while we are in this context, I also want to talk about the fatty acids ratio, omega-3, omega-6. And as you know, omega-6 is pro-inflammatory, and seed oils, people are against it. So can you tell me what are seed oils?
So seed oils are any vegetable oils derived from the seeds, like sesame, groundnut, sunflower. All these are actually seed oils. So traditionally, the initial forms of fat used for cooking was animal fats. Traditionally,
Ghee.
it was ghee,
Butter.
animal fats, lard, tallow, all these things. The animal fat was used for cooking. Then came these seed oils. We extracted oil, fat from these oil seeds. So in these seed oils, particularly mostly like these sunflower oils, which are not traditionally used to extract. This coconut oil, sesame oils, these were traditionally in use for oil extraction for more than like say 2000, 3000 years.
I see.
But the sunflower oils, they are not traditional seed oils. With lots of this propeller and mechanical and chemical extraction, we are able to extract oil. We will not be able to extract oil from these sunflower seeds with the traditional methods at all. Only with advanced machineries we will be able to extract oil itself. So these contain more omega-6, that is pro-inflammatory, PUFA fatty acids. Even though they reduce cholesterol levels, studies have, as already told, it may not reflect on the improvement in heart health. Sometimes even it has shown worsening of heart health. Increasing overall mortality has been found. So that is why this gaga about these seed oils, definitely we can reduce the seed oil usage and we can healthily increase the other fats.
But it's not like you should not completely use at all.
Yeah, there is anyway we are going to use oil just 3 to 4 teaspoons, 5 teaspoons per day. It doesn't matter much. Anyway.
Doesn't matter much. And is it true that we should increase the omega-3 fatty acids as much as possible because it's anti-inflammatory?
Definitely it will help, but it is not quantifiable. There are no proper studies as such, but definitely it helps in many ways. You can try to increase.
So many patients take the omega-3 supplement. It has two factors in it. Can you educate the audience how, when the natural form is ingested, ALA is formed, and then can you educate that?
Yeah. So omega-3, the actual omega-3 which is usable by the body, these are the actually essential fatty acids. That is, the body is not able to synthesize from inside, from other food products. So that means the person has to get from diet only. That is the only option. So that is why these are called essential fatty acids. The natural source of omega-3 that can be utilized by the body is two. That is EPA and DHA. And most of the animal products, particularly fish, they have lots of this EPA and DHA. One need not take this fish oil supplements. Even the routine, the Nethili fish, the Matti fish, it is available. That is anchovy, sardines. These just taking 100 to 150 grams per week, it will supply the required amount of omega-3 for a week. So it's way more than this omega-3 capsules we are buying from market. So that is that. For vegetarians, we get omega-3 in another form called ALA, which if we take 100 grams of ALA, some 5 to 10 grams will be converted into EPA, DHA inside the gut. So that happens. So we have to take more of this ALA. This ALA is more in seeds like flax seeds, walnuts, and even just simple fenugreek, lots of nuts, even lots of sprouts they have. So that is why even the vegetarians get a decent omega-3. There is lots of ALA, but some particular percentage is going to get converted into omega-3 inside the body, not much. But if the person, that is why even WHO, even for kids, that is complementary feeding for babies, they recommend if the person is not able to take animal source foods, that is egg, milk or this thing, they have to definitely take nuts. So nuts is compulsory in a complementary food for a baby if the baby is not taking animal source foods. That is why vegans or anyone who is not taking milk products or another animal, nuts are must to compensate for this.
But will that give the necessary adequate nutrient
When
requirement?
taken more.
When taken more.
Not these 2 almonds soaked overnight. At least some 30-40 grams of these mixed nuts and other things.
So it makes sense for the vegan community to take the omega-3 supplement if needed. If
Needed or more of these nuts.
More of the
so
nuts.
that believing that some percentage, if they take more of these nuts and these seeds, some percentage will get converted into omega-3 inside the body.
Super, super. Very nice, very nice. Again, we are sticking to the context of low carb, high protein, high fat. One last question and I'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about low carb, high fat, and then high protein. Protein. What is your recommendation? Vegetarian or non-vegetarian source of protein, or does it matter?
So it all depends. So basically the quantity matters, the proportion matters. So in proteins the main thing is we have to get all the essential amino acids from the proteins. So the 9 essential amino acids we have to derive. So the
These
animal
are all amino acids that cannot be produced by the body.
Like essential fatty acids, we said essential amino acids. So only the animal source foods give all these essential amino acids, except maybe for soybean to some extent. No other vegetarian source provides all the essential amino acids in a good proportion. So if a person is a non-vegetarian, definitely non-vegetarian foods are better sources of proteins. So it provides all the amino acids. And mostly another advantage in non-vegetarian food is that mostly they are lean proteins. They come with less calories. So 100 grams of meat is going to give around 25 grams of protein, but the calories is only will be around some 150 calories. For a vegetarian, no single source is going to provide all the essential amino acids. So soy, okay, to some extent. That's why I said except soy, no other source is going to provide.
Correct.
So that is why the vegetarians complement and combine 2 different types of foods. So all these cereals, rice, wheat, they are having an amino acid called methionine. And these proteins, they are having lysine. So but this will not be present in the other food. So that is why we combine these cereals and pulses to achieve the optimal ratio. That is why there is idli, dosa, there is pongal, there is khichdi, there is rice and dal, there is roti and dal. Traditionally some probably ancestors have found that when we combine this, the nutrition outcome is better. So they have observed, they don't know, they probably didn't know about these amino acids previously, this combination. And another problem in vegetarian proteins is that it comes with a baggage of more carbohydrates. Even though we say pulses as a protein source, still 100 grams of say chana is going to provide around 15 to 18 grams of proteins, but 50 to 55 grams of carbs. So to get more protein has to increase the calories and carbs significantly. So that is a problem in vegetarian protein. So one has to balance that while taking care of the protein requirement.
Wonderful discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last advice that you will educate the audience, whoever is listening to it, how should they go about the diet?
So it all depends on, it is tailor-made. There is nothing like one single. So we were talking a lot about low carb. It doesn't mean that everyone seeing this podcast to start a low carb or keto diet. It is nothing like that. It all depends on the makeup and the problems of a person. So you have to see and analyze what the problem is. Then they have to take a call based on the issues, based on the feasibility, and based on their convenience and liking. Because food is part of our lifestyle. So it is more than science. So it's more of art, science, lifestyle. So one has to take a decision based considering all these factors while deciding the diet.
It's the diet that works is whatever diet that works for you.
Yes, exactly.
And it could be any diet. But stick to it. Don't follow every diet like every diet.
So yo-yo dieting. Like what is new trend? Recent trend is no sugar diet. Some 2 years back, it was intermittent fasting, started by Dr. Pal. Some 4-5 years back, it was low carb, paleo, started by us. So it doesn't like that. Still, low carb does good for a lot of people. Intermittent fasting does good for a lot of people.
Correct.
There is never a trend in diet. So it is always the concepts. So the trend changes, but the concepts do not change, and it will not change even for another 10,000 years or so.
Wow, nicely put. Nicely put. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for inviting me again to the podcast. for inviting extra trouble. It was wonderful. Yeah, wonderful talking with you again on a podcast after a gap of around 1 to 1.5 years.
Right.
Yeah, it was
But we're going to
nice.
invite you again next year as well.
Yeah, sure.
Lots of information, and I want my audience to get credible information. So
Sure,
we'd
sure.
love to have you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
Dr.
bye,
Pal.
bye.
Yeah.